Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to our The Myra Miller Show. For today's episode, we're going to talk about educational matters. And to be specific, we are going to discuss learning materials topic. When we say learning materials, it is something that an educator needs in order to effectively facilitate learning and for the students to effectively acquire knowledge or to obtain the desired learning outcome. And to give you a more credible information, I interviewed one language teacher. I understand her busy schedule, so the interview was conducted through Facebook chat. I asked her only two questions because of our limited time that I'm sure we are all gonna learn from it. But before that, let me introduce you our very special guest. She is no other than Miss Marian Ricahuerta, a secondary school teacher from Don Antonio, Manila, and currently teaching English. So, I asked her about, as an English teacher, how do you select learning materials in your classroom? She said that my experience as a teacher then and now, I choose and selected the best learning materials for my students. I always make sure that those learning materials are appropriate for my students' age, their social development, and their ability level. Lastly, she said that she have to relate and connect those materials to the topic so that the students will surely learn and enjoy the class at the same time. And I couldn't agree more about this. This is correct. The effectivity of the learning materials depends on several factors that the teacher must consider. Just like what Miss Marian said, that it should be appropriate for their age and development. Learning materials for secondary students is not appropriate for elementary students and vice versa. So we have to consider that. And we have to consider that every student is unique, and so we have to learn how to give them an appropriate type of assessment. And this kind of question is kind of personal because I asked this for me, but you can also take this if you would like to as a piece of advice. I asked for future language teacher, what piece of advice can you give regarding materials adaptation? And she replied, as a 21st century educators, we need to try all the strategies with the use of learning materials. Example, teaching students via Google Meet and Zoom. Your materials for teaching are your PowerPoint presentation, educational app like Kahoot. Oh, I never heard about this, but thank you. Quizzes and more online tools that the students would surely benefit. So for you as a future language teacher, try to explore the world of technology by giving your best to learn on how to use the materials for the sake of the learners. And I will surely take note of that. Thank you very much. That's right. We are in this era where the presence of technology is there. The internet is the sea of information. We must benefit from it, but with cautious, because not every information posted online are credible, legit, factual. I must say that this is the primary requirement for the 21st century educator to be technology savvy regardless of our age. We must aware what kind of students are we going to teach in the future. They are most probably technology savvy. Kung maalam sila sa teknolohiya, dapat tayo ay nakakasabay. When we say 21st century education, it is associated to the outcome-based type of curriculum which implementing a learner-centered approach. So when we say 21st century classroom or 21st century learning environment, that means we are integrating technology in the classroom to facilitate learning. And we are dealing with the 21st century learners, which are this generation and the coming generations. That means they are technology savvy, and so we must also be technology savvy too. When we say 21st century teacher, that means it's the modern type of teacher, knows how to use technology. It's more on learner-centered approach and instead of the traditional or the conventional type of approach. So that's all for today's episode. Again, thank you, Miss Marian, for allowing us to have your insight about learning materials. And for all of you who tuned in, see you again next week for another informative episode here at the Myra Miller Show.